Guys, are you ready? If you're driving in your car, it's time. Ready? Every time I hit the beat, you're gonna Kegel. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and hold 5, 4, 3. No.
Welcome to Pelvic POV with your hosts and doctors of physical therapy, Amanda Neary and Hannah Meyer. Hey, pelvic freaks. Welcome back to another episode of Pelvic POV.
We're your freaks for us, and we're freaks for your pelvis, baby.
It is a Sunday.
Yeah. We're recording on a Sunday again. It's been a minute. We miss, we love having our cool guests on, but sometimes we miss just having some one-on-one chats with our pelvic freaks.
I know we've had a lot of guests recently.
Mm-hmm. And we have more.
We have more coming, more exciting guests coming up.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's really a cool opportunity to hear different perspectives, whether they're like another allied health professional or just a completely unrelated profession that has some insight for our listeners. So I've been really excited about the guests that we've had on, but it is fun to just get to chat.
And if you guys have any topics that we haven't covered yet that you want more information on, send it in because that gives us ideas for what guests we want to prioritize sooner.
Also, if I still sound stuffy, I've been congested for like 10 days now.
2025 has been the year of sickness for Amanda.
I'm like, I had the flu, I had COVID, I had whatever this is.
You had that voice thing that one time.
That was a result from, I think,
the flu and COVID.
Yeah, that was like after one of the illnesses.
Yeah.
But like today I still sound stuffy. I think it's from all the travel because I like literally traveled 3 weeks in a row. I got home, I would unpack my suitcase and immediately pack it for the next trip. Like it didn't go away.
It's so fun to do that, but also a lot of stress sometimes.
Yeah.
Speaking of travel, Amanda and I went to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And we discovered that when we travel together in groups, we are insufferable and absolutely no help to anyone.
We just like, so we were there for a bachelorette party, our friend Marissa, and it was so fun. She had a great time. The group was amazing. It was a very fun weekend.
It was a really fun trip.
Don't think I've laughed that much in one weekend in a really long time.
Yeah.
Like we were just being so silly the whole time. But yeah, with a group that big, we didn't have like a specific role. So it is hard to figure out like, where am I going to be most helpful today? Should I just piss off? I don't know.
So mostly we just pissed off.
No, we silly.
I think because I told Amanda, I was like, when I'm by myself in a group, like if you weren't there, I feel like I would be very active in my role. But since you're with me, for some reason, all of my priorities go out the window and I'm just automatically stupid for 4 days.
Yeah, I felt pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It was silly.
And then we came back to reality and I was like, oh, I have to put my brain back on.
Yeah. It was super fun. We did a rainforest adventure.
We hiked up like 3 waterfalls. We didn't just do a rainforest adventure.
We scaled waterfalls.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, I've done a lot of hiking in like national parks, West Coast, like not easy hikes by any means. That was one of the hardest hikes I've ever done.
Jerry's adventure was truly an adventure.
He goes, this is going to be the hardest part. And I thought he was joking. It was literally like a freaking waterfall. He's like, we got to get up that. I'm like, what do you mean?
In the waterfall. Like, we're not like climbing up the side of a waterfall. We're like in the water, splashing on our faces, like shoes getting soaking wet.
Slipping and sliding.
It was
so scary.
You know what? But we powered through and persevered. And I honestly I think we did amazing.
Oh, our group crushed it. It was 13 women.
By the end of the day, it was like survival mode. Like we all clicked into survival mode. We were like, we got to make it out of this alive. At the beginning, we were like, oh, yay. And then at the end, we were like, come on, ladies, keep pushing. We saw snakes. That's it. Snakes.
That was the only creature.
We saw a wild man in the woods. That was the scariest part.
Yeah, there was an unexpected male presence.
There was a man in the woods. We don't know where he came from. We don't know where he lives. In our brains, he just lives at this one spot in the woods, deep in the rainforest. And he was at the top of this other waterfall that we surprisingly didn't have to climb. And we were like, he was yelling at us and we were like, oh, whatever. He can't get to us. He's at the top of the waterfall. And I literally say, you know, if he wanted to get to us, he'd have to slide down his butt on his back down this waterfall. And that's just not going to happen. 2 minutes later, This guy stands up and we're like, oh God, he's going to do it. And he slides down this waterfall, bareback down the waterfall. And then he jumps into the like little lake area right where we are. And we all scream in terror. And this guy has like scratches down his back. Like, it's like, it was actually terrifying.
So scary. When he actually started sliding, we all go, oh, and then he like hits a bump and shoots up into the air. We're like, oh, and the sound effects were crazy. We were very worried for this man's health after, but we also didn't know what he wanted from us. And then apparently he was worried about the photographer who had hiked out with us, hiking back alone, which, I don't know.
Thanks for worrying about us, but you didn't have to prove yourself by sliding down a whatever foot waterfall on your back.
It was pretty wild.
Anyways,
Pretty wild.
it was a good trip.
It was a good trip. We also did salsa dancing and bachata. We went to La Factoria, which is a very famous bar for dancing. And there's a little speakeasy there that was super cute.
Oh yeah, that was one of the moments when we disappeared and just hit a speakeasy for like an hour.
We found a speakeasy and it was too cute to not get a drink there, but the rest of the group was like moving to another bar. This is actually something we could talk about, like at a bachelorette party, when is it okay to just kind of have your own time? Because not everyone's used to all of that stimulation all the time with like a big group of people. And I feel like bachelorette culture is very much like you're all together, but like the few I've been to recently, there was so much downtime, which has been nice, where you can just like do your own thing and it's been chill. And I feel like that's important to have in a group trip in general.
I think so. I want to like figure out how to plan the ultimate bachelorette party. The one that we went on just now was probably my favorite bachelorette I've ever been on.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was like, it didn't feel like a bachelorette party, but it was like we were all still here to celebrate you and be with you and like, hell yeah. But it wasn't like I liked that we didn't have to like buy the lingerie and like do all that stuff, which is fine and fun. But like, for me personally, I'm going to get my own lingerie. I feel like it's a little bit of a waste.
I kind of want the lingerie because
Really?
I want people to buy shit for me.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, no, there's certain things I like, but I like that it wasn't really about that. I don't know. My style, you know me, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I know you.
I'd rather take a few people to Paris and go on a shopping spree. I don't know.
Yeah, like a fun trip where we're like, okay, hell yeah, this is like your last time being single or whatever. But like, it's still like just a fun trip with your girls rather than like, I don't know. I think that makes it more fun for everyone and reduces like the complaining that a lot of people put out when planning a bachelorette party.
Yes.
Because people are like, oh, the cost and like all that stuff. But like, if I'm going to go on a trip, I want it to be good. I need it to be, if I'm going to like actively be somewhere for 4 days, I'm gonna throw the money in so that I'm happy for those 4 days and not struggling, you know?
Listen, the cost thing. What's your number for like, if I'm going on a bachelorette party and I don't have $2,000, I'm just going to not go.
That's what I'm saying. Like if I either don't go or I'm going to go and I'm going to commit. I'm going to commit all the way and I'm going to send it for this trip so it's fun. But if I'm like, don't really feel like I have the money or the time for that trip right now, I'd rather go to the person's wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to do all of that on a budget, it just ends up stressing out. Usually the bride who should not be stressed about the trip. I think when I plan mine, I'll be willing to subsidize enough where people don't have to worry about that. But it is just like one of those things that unfortunately there's drama around because everyone has a different price point, different preference for activities, opting in, opting out of things, and
it's just hard with a big group no matter what.
Yeah.
What my sister did that was really good was she did a sponsorship program. So she like contacted like a bunch of family members and she had like 3 tiers. So she had gold, silver, and platinum. So platinum was the highest, gold, and then silver. So if you wanted to donate over $100, you were platinum. If you donated 100, you were gold. And if you donated under 100, like $50 or something, you were silver. And if you were, depending on what sponsorship you do, so if you were gold sponsorship, then you get like a shout out in the maid of honor speech at the wedding. And then you get like all these other things. You get a FaceTime video from the bride, like at the night of, and think about like a mom, like she's going to freaking love that.
That's so fun, actually.
And then it actually got people to donate. We got 2 of our meals covered from sponsorships.
That's sweet.
Versus like saying like Venmo the bride, you know what I mean? Because like not a lot of people in my experience like actually do that when it says Venmo the bride.
I've had a good amount.
Oh, that's good.
We had our entire
I've never
club.
had someone Venmo me.
We've had our entire club bill paid on 2 bachelorette parties
Really?
from like buy the bride a drink.
Dang, that has never happened to me, but
Yeah.
that's awesome for you.
Any form of like donation for bachelorette parties is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
People want to support a good time.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a good thing to support.
Yeah. It takes the stress out of the price of the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on my period this week and I literally, after tracking my period, which if you don't track your period, you should be because all of your mood swings will start to make sense. I literally get like this depressed, emotional, angry, moody sensation where I literally feel like I'm going insane, but in the moment it feels so real. You know what I'm talking about? Like it feels so real. Like this is just how I am. I'm just emotional and crazy. But like I always have to like talk myself down. It's like, Hannah, you're on your period or you're like the week before your period. Like you're not actually like feeling this right now. And then once my period's done, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's actually every single time, but I can't talk myself out of it in the moment.
I definitely feel it before my period. I also felt it watching the second to last episode of Handmaid's Tale last night.
Yeah.
I couldn't get myself out of the funk after.
Yeah.
Do you watch that show?
No, I don't. I don't know if I can handle it.
So good. It's so good.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, it's heavy. Very heavy.
I'm on a Mormon wives kick right now.
I started it.
You did?
I got to be honest, I really don't like it.
What episode are you on?
5.
I love it. I'm obsessed with it.
It makes me uncomfy.
What makes you uncomfy?
I don't know. I can't put my finger on it.
Probably the religion. Mormonism as a whole.
It's probably the organized religion of it all.
Probably that. So, yes, that's why I think it's such an interesting show because I think it's like really outing the problems with religion. That's why I like it, I think.
I don't dislike that part. I think the lack of awareness from the participants of the show makes it a little weird because they don't know they're doing that.
Yes.
They're very like proudly part of this.
Yeah.
I like the friend dynamics. Like in that regard, it's like any other reality TV show. I think it's fun. Their drama's insane.
The drama, I think that's why I like it so much is because the drama is absolutely bonkers. Like it's like way more escalated than previous shows I've seen, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It just gets right into it, like episode 1.
I know.
It is interesting how that came from TikTok, like what social media is doing in terms of reality TV. They didn't have to preface anything. They were like, we're Mom Talk. You know us.
Yeah.
Here we are. It was kind of crazy.
I want you to keep watching it though, because like keep it on the background. You don't have to like full focus your attention on it. But there's like episodes that they get to where they talk about like sexual shame and how religion like causes sexual shame, which was what we've talked about. Not all religion. It can cause like shame with sex and shame around sex because they have like a sex party and they talk about that. They talk about how one of the moms has never had an orgasm, but has like 2 kids under 23 or something. And yeah, it's just like interesting topics that get brought up, which is like, if people are going to listen and this is how, then that's okay with me.
I was going to say that they did talk about like postpartum leaking in one of the episodes already.
And it was wrong.
And it was wrong.
Yes.
And so
I caught that too.
Yeah, I was like, that's something we could address.
What was it again?
It was like, once you have a kid, you're just going to pee yourself. You're just going to pee yourself and it's going to be fine. And it's like, again, that normalization of that. But that's how most people still feel. And it is hard because we're in this like pelvic health bubble where we know, right? And our pelvic freaks know that you're not supposed to leak after you give birth. And that's something we can treat. And it's common, but it's not normal. But a lot of people still don't know. They still are watching those TikTok Kegelers. They still are just whatever they were taught as a kid, whatever their mom and grandma is saying to them, that's what they believe. So it's fascinating to see. A little disheartening, but
Yeah, the TikTok Kegelers.
we'll keep fighting the good fight.
Guys, are you ready? If you're driving in your car, it's time. Ready? Every time I hit the beat, you're gonna Kegel. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and hold 5, 4, 3. No, we're not doing that. If you see that TikTok, scroll past, please.
Yeah.
It's going to frustrate you.
That was a good segue. We were going to talk about Kegels today.
Yeah, that's our topic for today.
That's our topic for today. Because we haven't actually done an episode on Kegels.
No, we haven't.
We talk about them a ton. We've talked about pelvic floor contractions, which is what a Kegel is, and why we do use them or when we don't use them. But we don't actually have a specific topic episode for it.
We don't. And we kind of thought of doing this episode because the TikTok Keglers, like that's what we call them, which some are pelvic floor PTs.
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone has their way of treating, but, you know, at the end of the day, that kind of video is what gets the views.
Yeah.
People love scrolling past those and interacting it and then like commenting like, okay, ladies, are we all doing it? We're all doing it together. Like we're all just sitting here right now doing Kegels, LOL. Like I see the comments and everything and how people feed into it. And it's just like, you don't really need to be doing that.
We were just talking on Friday about load bearing and like the foot ankle connection with pelvic floor and how even when you're in your normal gait cycle with walking, running, anything, the different phases of your gait cycle will help engage or relax your pelvic floor accordingly. And that just shows you one example of how your pelvic floor should be kicking in automatically when you strengthen it in other ways or you're doing other activities. The thought of having to specifically do Kegels to strengthen the pelvic floor, it doesn't really make sense for most people anyway. This is just a muscle. Your pelvic floor is a group of muscles that should be working and doing their job. So when someone's out there doing Kegels on TikTok, they're talking to people that have recognized some form of like pelvic floor dysfunction in themselves. They're like, oh, I feel weakness, heaviness, leaking, whatever. This person's telling me to do Kegels, so I'm just going to do that. That's not how we treat most of those cases. Mm-hmm. So it just doesn't apply to most people. It's not like an inherently wrong exercise.
It's not how we treat any of those cases. I never will have someone like, I'll do maybe like an assessment to see if you can bind those muscles. So I might have you like Kegel and do like some quick flicks, which is just like quick Kegels, and then some endurance holds just to see how your pelvic floor functions voluntarily when you try to contract it. But I'm never going to send you home and be like, okay, do these.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I ever give someone just Kegels to do.
Actually, there is one time where I had a patient, I think, use like Kegel weight, and I had them practice that lift. Just that was more for awareness training, though, because they didn't have the pelvic floor awareness.
Well, I mean, they are useful for certain things. So when are we going to use a Kegel?
I rarely use them in the clinic. Like we've talked about it before, like when we use a Kegel, and it's mainly with like retraining the pelvic floor with like a cough, laugh, sneeze. Like we'll do it with retraining the knack technique. So to get your pelvic floor to engage when you have an increase in intra-abdominal pressure or something like that. And sometimes that we'll use it with like weightlifting or something like that, like cueing the pelvic floor to engage when we're lifting heavy objects or something.
Or with internal feedback, like manual therapy, I will sometimes incorporate that like contract, relax so that people can gauge what it feels like to actually relax their muscles.
Yes.
So it's more about the relaxation than the Kegel itself. Like we're not really training that. Because guess what, guys? Studies show that other exercises engage the pelvic floor better than Kegels, including squats, bridges, any load-bearing, deadlifts, exercises like that. So we're going to make sure things are coordinating well, but then we're going to have you doing other strengthening because your Kegel is not even going to strengthen your pelvic floor the most. It's not going to make you tighter, quote unquote, because that's also what a lot of these TikTok Kegelers are saying. That's just not how muscles work. So yeah.
100%. I like what you said about manual therapy because I use it a ton. Like even with like my patient with like vaginismus coming in, and we finally get to a point where the muscles have calmed down enough. So now we're going to try to reintroduce like, okay, now can you actually contract, relax, and lengthen, not just like only focus on the lengthening component, you know? And we use that a lot to recognize any other forms of dysfunction. Sometimes I'll do it with a patient. I'll have them if they do have a hypertonic pelvic floor, maybe on their first day even, I'll have them do a Kegel and see if it almost increases their pain, because sometimes it will. And I'm like, well, this is because you're contracting a tight muscle even more. It's increasing your pain and you're unable to let go and relax that muscle. So it can be like an identifier for that patient to be like, oh, like I need to release. I need to release, not contract.
Why are we so against Kegels sometimes? Because they can actually make symptoms worse. So it's not just about them not being the most effective way to strengthen your pelvic floor, but we've talked about this a ton. Most people coming into our office have pelvic floor tension. Even if they have weakness, leaking, heaviness, even a prolapse, they might have pelvic floor tension that was the root of all of their pain or symptoms, or that just has developed as a result of them. So before we can even strengthen effectively, we need to downtrain those muscles. So if people are self-treating at home by just tightening and tightening those muscles, you're building tone. You're not making your vagina tighter or less elastic. You're building muscle tone, so it will feel more tense, and that can stimulate more trigger points.
I liked something else that you just said. Okay. The one reason is because it can build tension and tone. The other reason is because most people don't know what a Kegel is or how to find those muscles.
Totally.
It's honestly just going to make you frustrated, like trying to like do that. Or you think you're Kegeling and you're just squeezing your butt cheeks together. And then that's what you're going to do to try to like stop leakage from coming out. And then you're like wondering why you're still leaking. It's like, well, your pelvic floor and your deep core aren't firing at all. You're just squeezing your little glutees.
Glutes, inner thighs, they'll push their abs out, which
Or
is
push down.
Yeah, they're pushing down and out, which is literally the opposite of what we want to do with a Kegel. So most people, when I first assess it, I always have to retrain their Kegel just so they know what that actually feels like too. So that's a really good point.
Another thing too, in my stress incontinence people, which what we talk about at the clinic is that stress incontinence is one of the hardest things to fully get rid of 100%. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than people expect, but we can still fix it. And one thing that I've been doing with my like stress incontinence people that are like, okay, I only leak maybe 2 times a month, like with a sneeze, or like I'm leaking a lot right now because it's allergy season, or I cough every now and then and it's a leak, but like not enough to where it's like a huge detrimental issue, but it's like still annoying. I've been working more TRA, transversus abdominis engagement, rather, and I say, don't even think about your pelvic floor right now. Let's just work on engaging your deep core. And then we'll do that once we fix that and like start firing that more, then we'll do like that with like some like little bouncing on the Bosu or something, like just engaging the deep core. Don't think about the pelvic floor because people like overthink it almost, or they can't find their muscles and it's just not helpful. And the working on the transversus abdominis has been way more helpful with some of these patients. And I've seen them get over that plateau hump.
Totally. Because with a strong core stabilizer, you're able to distribute pressure, which with any stress incontinence, you're getting that increase in intra-abdominal pressure. So if you have that strong stability, your abdomen can absorb that and it's not forcing it onto the pelvic floor. So that is, I mean, that's how we want to treat a stress incontinence rather than like, my pelvic floor needs to be so strong that it can handle all of this load. It shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, because think about it. You didn't have to do that up until you've got this dysfunction. You didn't have to automatically always think, okay, I'm contracting a Kegel right now or whatever. It's like your body automatically does that. It's not, so we'll use the Kegel to like retrain at the beginning for her rehab purposes, just to like, honestly for awareness. But then when we're trying to treat the patient as a whole functionally moving forward, we're trying to get the body to work all together. And that's exactly right. Like what you said. We shouldn't rely on the pelvic floor to hold up this whole load.
Yeah.
It's like a single mom working 2 jobs.
Literally.
You got to take the load off of her.
When I'm talking about the core, I'm talking like every muscle between the knee and the rib cage. Like that's all your core. That's all your stability. So why am I focusing on the one muscle that's already working overtime when everything else needs to work and kick in?
Yeah.
To actually make this a seamless thing that we don't have to think about. So it is interesting. And then you add load bearing into it. And I mean, the foot ankle stuff is super interesting. I love that we are incorporating that more in pelvic floor therapy because it's a load bearing position that a lot of people are experiencing this in. So it's important to take that into consideration too.
Yeah. Kegels are wild. They do have their time and place, and we do use them for rehab and like coordination and assessment and to help you with awareness purposes. But if the number one question we get is, how do I strengthen my pelvic floor? Hands down. It's not going to be trying to keep up with those TikTok scrolling videos where you're trying to hold Kegels, and not the vibe.
Sidebar, did we stop doing the word of the week thing already?
I think so.
That was just a one-time
I
thing.
think it was. If you guys liked it, we'll bring it back.
My biggest pet peeve is, and it's not anyone's fault, but every time I say I'm a pelvic floor therapist and someone's like, oh yeah, Kegels, that's like still the thing people say.
Yeah.
More than anything else. I know when someone actually watches our content because people will say like, oh, I watch all your videos. Don't worry, I do my Kegels. And I'm like, if you've ever watched a video, you know that that's not what we say to do.
Yeah.
So I know you don't actually watch the videos. You just like see them pop up on your screen.
If this helps you guys, I've never once gone home and done like 3 sets of 10 Kegels ever in my life.
Never.
Have you?
No,
you just said never.
And guess what? This pussy's gold.
Golden. I got some control down there.
I got control. I have great sex. I never once needed to do Kegels.
Never. If anything, I need to chill the fuck out.
Definitely relaxation. Breathing has helped the most with any like painful intimacy or any issues that I have had in the past.
Breathing. If you can breathe with your partner during intercourse, that is the number one thing. Literally. Like slow down, breathe, and chill the fuck out. Not to be like rude about it, but
Chill the fuck out.
that's what I need to tell myself sometimes. Like at the end of the day, if you're having sex with a man, especially, they don't care at all what you look like. They got man brain. They got lizard brain on. They don't care. We as women like care way too much about how we look like during sex, and we can't relax and enjoy it. And we've been conditioned to like think that the man has to enjoy it, or that's just like how we are as women in like heterosexual relationships where we just like, we literally just feel like we need to do our best to make sure the other person feels good. I feel like it's like the nurturing mindset of a woman. So that's why we're having terrible sex.
Literally. And what's interesting is when you actually have sex and are working on yourself enjoying it, I feel like it ends up being sexier for your partner too. And it's just the opposite.
You're going to unlock new things. That was a little sidebar. But
That was a little sidebar.
I just love treating patients that are having difficulty with intercourse because there's just so much to learn that we have not been taught.
I haven't had sex with a man in a while.
Yeah. What's that like?
It's been
Freeing?
great.
Is it freeing?
I can't say I particularly miss it.
Yeah. I mean,
But my favorite parts of sex are like not the penetration. So I don't need that. I mean, and you can have that in queer relationships too, but I don't miss like penis vagina sex.
yeah. And like, I'm sure if you found someone that like, I feel like for me, it's like the person, right?
Yeah.
And like, I don't miss penis vagina sex from other people that were just shitty to me or like just meant nothing to me and we didn't connect well. But when you find that person that you connect with and you make it work, like it's great.
Totally.
Any kind of sex can be great. It's really the person, the connection, the communication. If you are missing any of those, it's going to not work out.
And long story short, if you didn't want to listen to this whole episode too long, didn't read, you probably don't need Kegels. And if you are wanting to do Kegels, just get assessed first. There's definitely a safe way to like do them if it's something you're really thinking about, or you can just talk to your pelvic floor therapist about whether they're right for you or not and do them in a more controlled way that's going to actually help your symptoms, because we definitely don't want Kegels making your symptoms worse. And in most cases, they don't drastically improve your life in any way.
Get an individual assessment, an individualized assessment at the end of the day. This is all talk from us and our experience and our intelligent minds. But
Our area of expertise.
yeah. But at the end of the day, you need a one-on-one assessment.
Okay, we have one listener question from a pelvic floor PT that we wanted to address on this episode. So I'll read it from the Instagram DMs. I have a patient who has EDS and is experiencing, EDS is Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, if anyone doesn't know that, and is experiencing grade 2 prolapse of the rectum, bladder, and uterus. She has pain with intercourse, overactive bladder. I feel like the route I would like to take her would be giving hip stability due to her connective tissue disorder, but really prioritizing down training with her. I saw her for the first time today, her second visit. I gave her reverse clams, wall posture, and added Cobra to her HEP and worked a lot abdominally today, and she has high tension. She said she wanted to wait on internal work, so I'm hoping to hit that in the future if she's more comfortable. She asked me a question if strengthening will still reverse her grade of prolapse due to her connective tissue laxity, and if she does do surgery, if they will sling all the organs together. So I wasn't sure the answer to really either of those, and I wanted your thoughts. Thanks for all you do. Sorry, this is so long. So this is an interesting one because Ehlers-Danlos is a connective tissue disorder that results in laxity of tissues. And I think it's interesting to talk about in the Kegel episode because a lot of people are going to hear that, think pelvic floor weakness, and think strength in the pelvic floor. So maybe someone who didn't have experience or was brand new to treating would say, let's throw some Kegels in there. Let's get that stronger. But she's saying she wants to incorporate down training because this patient has high tone, which is exactly what we're saying when we don't want to use Kegels as a treatment approach with most of these patients because they're not actually going to help. And I think hip stability is an amazing approach with down training. And it looks like she worked a lot abdominally on high tension. So all of that is like where I would think to start as well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have any specific feedback on that part of the plan of care without assessing the patient.
Yeah, I would say EDS as a whole, what I commonly see because of the connective tissue laxity, the muscles will usually kick up in gear, is what I say. And they're like functioning overdrive to make up for that. And then you get a lot of like pelvic floor dysfunction because of that, depending on the patient. What I would say too is strengthening you can never go wrong with, especially if you're working with like breathing coordination with strengthening and you're working really focusing on bringing that awareness to the pelvic floor. Like you're still working on like retraining the pelvic floor with breathing pattern. So that's good. Definitely internal work could be potentially helpful as well. So if that patient ends up being open to it, or maybe even you can tell the patient, maybe you can assess on your own at home potentially just to see how you would feel working on your pelvic floor at home with like potentially a dilator situation or something. Again, I don't know this patient at all, but yeah.
Her question about reversing the grade of prolapse. This is an interesting one that we get a lot. With a prolapse, we can typically reduce the symptoms of it by 1 grade. So depending on what this grade is, like let's say, I don't even know if she said grade 2. So a grade 1 prolapse can be asymptomatic. And in theory, we could get a grade 2 to a grade 1 level just with pelvic floor therapy. So they say anything beyond 1 grade, that's when you're looking at a pessary or a surgical intervention. So yeah, basically the answer to the question is yes. With proper strengthening and down training those muscles, they could reduce the symptoms of that prolapse for sure. I don't have the answer to the surgery question because I don't know. Do you know?
No, I would say any surgery questions would go to the surgeon for sure. That's what if a patient were to ask me like what the surgery would look like, I'd be like, that's a question for your doctor.
Yeah, like I could talk you through a C-section for the most part, but I'm not. I think for a prolapse, people do some different things too. And I don't know what that would look like for this patient.
And even with a pessary too, like you are going to get fitted for a pessary based on your physician. So, I mean, that could be an option. I would say if this
some
patient...
pelvic floor PTs fit pessaries too.
We should do that.
We should.
Oh my God. Honestly, it would probably be better if we did because we could be with the patient more often, like weekly. And then if it's not a good fit, we could try a new one. And like test it out in the clinic. Wow. And then we don't have to wait on the doctor to like get a new pessary. That's a great move.
I want to say it's state by state, but I'm pretty sure in Illinois we can.
We can check it out later.
Yeah.
Anyways, going back to this, if the patient came to me and said, if she does do surgery, will they sling all the organs together? I wasn't sure the answer. I would say, that's a good question. We're going to work on your pelvic floor strengthening, recoordination, and do what we can first. I would make an appointment with your doctor to ask any questions regarding surgery, but let's see where we can get you with some pelvic floor PT first. And then, if you're still feeling symptoms, then you can talk to your physician about pessary, any other approaches to treating your prolapse.
Yeah, that's a good point. We talked about this in our endometriosis episode as well. Like even if you opt for the surgery at the end of the day, you're not going to do anything. You're only going to make progress by trying pelvic floor therapy first, because then that's your preoperative treatment. And with any other major like knee replacement, things like that, they want you doing preoperative treatment so that you know what to expect from your rehab afterwards, and you can get your body as strong and ready as possible for that surgery. So regardless of whether you do the surgery or what it looks like, you're not going to go wrong doing pelvic floor first.
Exactly. And if it does make you feel better to get that on the books, you can book that appointment now, and it might take a few months to get into your physician, but then we're going to keep working on it before you get to that appointment time. And then if you have questions about it, then we can talk about it then and what next steps would look like for rehab.
Totally. Good question.
Lovely.
Thank you. I'm keeping this one anonymous because they didn't say if they wanted to be like shouted out or not, but thank you for submitting. Hopefully that is helpful for you and your plan of care, and also any other clinicians thinking about plans of care for patients with prolapse that might have an underlying condition. And that was a cool one to address on the Kegel episode.
Lovely.
All right. Guys, make sure you are following us on social media at Pelvic POV. You can submit questions to our DMs or via the link in the bio on our page.
And leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to your podcast.
Anywhere you listen, please leave us a rating. They mean so much. They help us with outreach, and we can get the Mormon wives here in our pelvic floor advice so they are not leaking after childbirth.
Yes. Wait, good tie-in. Wow,
Thanks.
look at that callback.
Look at that callback. I still remember improv.
Girl, you got that.
All right. Bye, pelvic freaks.
Bye, pelvic rings.